a lot about rounding, estimating. Remember, rounding is being able to get to those friendly numbers, those close to numbers. We're not trying to do exact numbers when we're rounding. Estimating can go to any friendly number that we want it to. And we've been talking about rounding, which is a little different in the fact that we are talking specifically about going to two kinds of friendly numbers. Does anyone remember what are those two kinds of friendly numbers that we are trying to get to when we are rounding? Specifically rounding? Sean?
Hundreds and tens?
Yeah, when we are rounding, we are trying to get to the closest 10 or the closest 100. Those are our friendly numbers that we are trying to get to when we are rounding. Trying to get to the closest 10 or the closest 100. Can someone give me an example of what might be a number I would land on if I was trying to get to the closest 10? Can I take your head off, please, love? Let's say I was trying to get to the closest 10. What could be a friendly number I would land on? Shelby? 80. Sure. That could be the closest 10. 80. What?
1,000.
Just 1,000? Sure.
Yeah.
That could be the closest 10. John?
1,680.
1,680 could be the closest 10. What about the closest 100? What could be the closest 100 that I could land on? Victor?
500.
500. That could be the closest 100. Elena?
1,000.
1,000 could be my closest 100. Devin? 600 could be my closest 100.
Nice.
A million could be my closest 100.
That's funny.
So when we are rounding, we need to pay attention. Are we rounding to the closest multiple of 10 or the closest multiple of 100? We just heard some really good examples of both of those. I see a few of you still writing, so I'm going to give you some seconds. No, thank you. All right, we are going to practice. Go ahead and write that sentence at the top on your page. Round 345 to the nearest 10. We're going to start with that one first. Round 345 to the nearest 10. One thing that might be helpful is go ahead and underline which digit is in the tens place. That's going to be helpful because if we're rounding to the nearest 10, I'm probably going to want to start with whatever digit is in the tens place. Gwen, do you know what digit I should underline?
The 4.
The 4. Now, Gwen, does that mean that I'm going to start my number line at 40? Yeah, I'm not going to start just at 40 because that would be a really long way to go to get to 345.
Basically, when you're doing tens, you just, for the start, you just take away the ones and make it a 0.
Yeah, so Gwen says, hey, when I think about making my friendly 10, I just kind of ignore my ones and go from there. So my starting point is going to be 340. How long is this number line? How many numbers until I get to the end? Harper? It's going to be 10 because I'm rounding to the nearest 10. My number line is only 10 numbers long. Will, what's going to be my end point?
300, 400?
Is it going to be 400?
350.
350. Will, how'd you figure out that it was 350?
Because I first I thought it was on to the nearest 100, and I realized it was 10. So I knew counted by I knew 40 50 350 is 110 greater than 340.
Love that. Awesome. The next step is we need to find our middle because that helps us figure out which endpoint it's closest to. What is my middle number? 7? Is 55 going to go in between 40 and 50? You're close. Not 350. 350 is right here. That's not going to go in the middle. Victor?
345.
345. Victor knows that it's 345 because there's going to be 5 numbers on this side and then 5 numbers on this side.
We write that.
You don't have to write what I wrote in red. That's fine. Wait. That means our number is right in the middle because that's the number we're trying to round. Typically, when I round, I can tell which one's closer on my number line, but this one's right in the middle. How do I know what 345 is going to round to? Ashlyn? How do you know that?
Because earlier last time saying that when we have an even number in the math, we're rounding it.
It's always going to round up. So 345 is going to round to 350. Even though it's right in the middle, we're going to go ahead and round up to the nearest 10. Now we're going to do the same number, but round it to the nearest 100. We should get a different estimation because 350 is not a number I can land on when I'm looking at my multiples of 100. So I'm going to get a different number. Go ahead and draw your number line. Devin? Okay, do you know what our first number is going to be? What is it? It's going to be 300. Devin knows this because she can look at our number and just look at our hundreds place. And she knows I'm going to start at 300. Jacob, do you know what our end point is going to be? 400. Our number line is 100 numbers long because we're rounding to the nearest 100. Here's where it can get a little tricky finding that middle point. What is the middle point between 300 and 400? What is that middle point? Sit up, Harper? 350. Now that we have a couple of numbers, now we can place 345. Where is 345 going to go on this number line? Elena? On the left side or the right side? The left. Yep, it's going to be really close to 350 because I only have about 5 numbers until I get to 350. What is 345 going to round to now? What is 345 going to round to now? Sean?
300.
going to round to 300. That's closest. So wait, I have the same number, but I got different estimations. When I rounded 345 to the nearest 10, I got 350. But when I rounded to the nearest 100, I got 300. Why did I get different answers? I was just rounding. I did rounding for both. Why did I get different answers? Harper, what do you think?
The different answer for the 100 is because it's 5 back, and also it's the closest because it's behind 350, and when it's in 350 it would be close to 400.
I got 345 to 350, and I have 345 to 300. Shelby, what do you think? Why are those different?
Because on the first one you're rounding it to the nearest 10, and on the second one you're rounding it to the nearest 100.
Which one do you think is going to give me a better answer? Why? What do you think? We've got two different estimates. Sorry, love. Sorry. So when I am rounding and I'm trying to come to that I'm trying to get to a close to number that is close to my exact number. It might be helpful that I round to the nearest 10, because when I round to the nearest 10, my estimation is significantly closer to that actual number than if I rounded to the nearest 100. So, does that make sense what we're doing?
Yeah. Of course.
All right, we're going to try this problem. I'm going to read it. When I finish reading it, we're going to go ahead and get started with it. It says, Jackson has 36 books at home. How many books does he have to the nearest 10? Nearest 100. Which makes more sense to use in this problem? So let's go ahead and round 36 to the nearest 10. Because I know he has 36 books, and I'm going to round that to the nearest 10. To do that, I'm going to start with my number line.
Can we write all that?
Nope, you just need to write what I'm writing. What's going to be my starting point on my number line if I am rounding to the nearest 10? Victor?
40.
Not going to start at 40. I'm going to start at 30 so that my number can fit on my number line. If I start at 40, I will start too far ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Bella, do you know what my end point's going to be? It's going to be 40. And now we need a midway point. Tenley, what number is going to go midway between 30 and 40? 35. Very good. Now that I have my numbers set up, I should be able to easily place 36. Where's 36 going to go, Shelby?
On the right, close to 35.
Yeah, really close to 35. Once I have 36, now I can easily tell which endpoint 36 is closest to. What is 36 going to round to? Will? 40. Very good. 36 to the nearest 10 rounds to 40. Now, that's not the only thing I need to do. I now need to round to the nearest 100. So let's draw another number line. And this time, I'm rounding to the nearest 100. That's going to be a little trickier. Because do I have any digits in the hundreds place right now? Oh. So what's going to be my starting point? Michael? 0. 0 is my starting point. What's going to be my ending point, Lincoln? 100. Very good. Now I need a middle. Devin. 35 is not my middle. I need a middle between 0 and 100. Excuse me? 50 is right in the middle of 0 and 100. Now that I know that, where is 36 gonna go? Where is 36 gonna go? Harper? 36. Oh, I love that estimate. Yeah, it's probably gonna be about there, kind of middle-ish. We know 36 is less than 50. We can place it about there. What is 36 gonna round to? Ashlyn? 0. The last question, now that we've rounded 36 to the nearest 10 and to the nearest 100, which estimation makes more sense in this problem? Which kind of estimation makes more sense? Shelby?
36 rounds to 40.
Okay, why does rounding to the nearest 10 make more sense?
Because it's only 4 away and the other one.
Sure. Lincoln, what do you think? Why do you think? Actually, what do you think? Which one makes more sense to you? Rounding to the nearest 10. Why does that one make more sense to you?
Because 35 is like a
Okay. Would it make more sense to say that Jackson has about 40 books or Jackson has about 0 books?
40.
Yeah, we wouldn't say Jackson has about 0, even though it does round to the nearest 100 that way. That doesn't sound like it makes sense. Gwen?
Say it's like the budget that you have to spend at the grocery store.
Sure.
If someone asks you how much money you have to spend, you can be like, oh, about 0, and they're gonna be like, what?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to say about 0. All right, go ahead and write at least 1 to 2 sentences explaining why which strategy, rounding to the nearest 10, which is the top one, or rounding to the nearest 100, which one makes more sense? So you're writing a sentence or two telling me which one makes more sense.